Now, Thailand facing a realignment of conservative politics after the country's Prime Minister won a stronger than expected general election victory, way ahead of rivals, but still coalition talks are expected to start shortly. The reduction of the risk of political instability has sent Thai stocks soaring as a potential crisis there seems averted. He called the election at the end of last year after less than 100 days in office. We're going to cross live to Bangkok, talk to our correspondent Matt Hunt, who joins us from there. Matt, what next then? I mean, what do these results, would you say, mean for Thailand?
Sure, Stuart. I think that there's a couple ways that we should look at this for the international audience. One is that the Bhumjaithai party, led by Prime Minister Anutin Charnvirakul, received about 200 of the 500 available seats in parliament in yesterday's election. And although that's not the majority that's needed, it is, as you mentioned earlier, it is enough to form a more comfortable leading coalition without a doubt. And that has been well received by the stock market, and also amongst people who I've talked to today, they seem, even if they were not necessarily supporting this party before, they seem to feel glad that there could be an incoming stable government, because the country hasn't seen that in years, even most recently with Anutin being the leader of the minority government. And secondly, I think that it's very important to recognize that this is an uptick in conservatism and nationalism being appealing to voters, because the government up until this election had faced some pretty serious criticism regarding scams in the government, but also some of the responses to natural disasters. Basically, the favorability of the government that was led by Anutin was not that high. However, he was the prime minister in the final months of the real tension between Thailand and Cambodia, and so that is one thing that he leaned into in his campaign, and that seems to have shown out in the ballot box, where people came and supported what is largely being called a landslide.
Voters also approved in their referendum to begin drafting a new constitution. What could that mean?
That's right. So 60% of voters did choose to redraft the Constitution in the referendum yesterday. And to provide a little bit of context for this, just a few months ago, the reason that the parliament was actually dissolved by Anutin was because when he was elected to lead the minority government, he agreed to dissolve the parliament in 4 months and also support the redraft of the Constitution. However, when it became apparent to the opposition that he wasn't going to actually support the constitutional referendum in the way that he had agreed, they tried to remove him from the government, and he dissolved the parliament. And so this is now becoming a really trivial issue, because a lot of people feel that the government that was largely elected yesterday may not actually support the redrafting of the Constitution, which a lot of people feel is necessary because it has provided structural issues that have led to a decade of instability, mostly from independent organizations having power over democratic function in the country. And so whether or not Anutin is going to move forward with what he promised before when he was the minority government leader is hard to tell at this point, but this is for sure going to be something that I think we'll hear more about in the coming days.